You sell out at the farmer's market almost every weekend. The tent looks great, people love your stuff, the money's coming in. It feels like it's working, but here's the scary question most people never stop to ask, especially in the heat of the moment. Are you actually making money? Or are you just really good at breaking even? Because most people selling food on the side have no idea what a single batch actually costs them to make. And quite frankly, I know people that have been in the industry a long time, much longer than that also don't know that number. And if you don't know that, you don't know if this can be more than a hobby. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to figure out exactly what you earn on every single item by hand. So that way you actually understand it. And then I'll show you how to hand the annoying part over to AI, so that way we can make your job a little bit easier. And also show you the big mistake AI makes that'll cost you money if you don't know how to catch it. I'm Anthony, and I started a company called Forger, and now this channel to help with growing you from a operator who is just making some food on the side for some extra cash, or trying to launch that passion project of yours and eventually start a restaurant, or maybe even expand you into your second location or third or fourth, and actually turn your passion for this industry into something that can be an honest living, and maybe something even more than that. A little bit about me. I've spent the last 10 plus years in food service and hospitality, running operations with over 100 employees, and I've watched the money side of things and honestly the numbers side of things really break a lot of businesses and a lot of people, a lot of really good people. And for the simple fact of them just not understanding what it is they're looking at and how to develop some systems that'll actually set you up for success and help you with your growth. Because that's the quiet killer. It's quite literally just knowing the numbers, and that's what we're going to try to tackle in today's video. And today we're going to start with the smallest, most important number there is. What one thing you sell actually costs you to make. And if you're selling something at a market or out of your kitchen right now, go ahead and just drop it in the comments and you'll see why a little bit later. It'll make more sense. Now, here's why this number that we're going to be working for is extremely important. Let's say on a Saturday, you sold 20 dozen cookies at $12 a dozen. That's $240 that you're walking away with. Feels like a really great day. That's $240 in sales. But let's do the math on actually how much we spent. Now, let's say it costs you $9 to make 1 dozen cookies, and you were charging $12 for that same dozen. If each dozen costs you $9 in ingredients, you did not make $240, because that 9 times those 20 dozen is 180. So you are walking away with $60 in raw profit. Now, I know this is an extreme example, but it's genuinely something that I've seen people do. And it's always the at-home cook or the person just selling something on the side, because you're not factoring in things like the cost of your table, the gas it takes to get there, the packaging for these cookies, and the one that I think everybody forgets when you're starting out this small, your own time. Suddenly the dream of doing this full time hits a wall, because the math was never built to pay you a wage at all. So before you scale up and before you quit anything, you need to know the real cost per item. Let's build it by hand, one ingredient at a time. Let's kill the jargon. And at your stage, we're going to keep it very simple. Food cost. It means one simple thing, and that is just the ingredients it takes to make one batch of the thing that you sell. That's it. We're not talking about the oven, we're not talking about the rent, or even the time yet. Just the actual product that goes into what you're making. We start here because it's the number that you can control today, and everything else, the pricing, the profit, whether this can be a job, that sits on top of it. And here's how we're going to do this by hand. Now, we're going to go with just a batch of 1 chocolate chip cookies, which is going to make 1 dozen. We're going to cost out every ingredient, and here's the golden rule, because this is where everyone goes wrong. When you're costing, make sure you're costing for the actual portion of what you're using, not what the whole package costs. It does require a little bit more math, but this is where AI is going to help us out a little bit later and remove some of those tedious parts. But this is extremely important because it throws off everything if we're calculating an entire bag worth of chocolate chip cookies versus just the half portion of that container that we're actually going to use. So we'll start with the flour. We're going to say that our flour, we're going to buy a 5-pound bag, and it has about 18 cups in it, and it's going to run you about $4. So 2 cups is going to be roughly 45 cents, because remember, the bag is not the cost. And the butter. A pound of butter, about 4 sticks, is about $5. So we're going to say that those 2 sticks that we're going to use are going to be about $2.50. Now onto the eggs, and we're going to use 2 of them, and a dozen is going to be about $4. So those 2 eggs is going to be about 67 cents, no pun intended. This is the big one. You use 1 full cup, and a bag runs about $4 for 2 cups. So 1 cup is going to be $2. Now remember this number because we're going to use it a little bit later on when AI gets involved. Now onto the little things that you do still need to include in this. Now we're just going to lump them all together into a pantry line where it just has all of our vanilla, baking soda, salt, and things that are very small and things that don't cost a lot, but if we're eventually going to scale and make this a lot bigger, we do need to know that there still is some of this cost incurred across every single item that we're producing. So we're going to say that we're going to spend about 50 cents all in all. Now, when we add this all up, it comes out to a total of $7.12. Now that's $7.12 to make our dozen cookies. That is your ingredient cost. Now it's not really a vibe anymore. You're not just feeling it out. It's a real number that we can see. Now watch what that number lets you decide. That's $7.12 divided by the $12 price tag that we had for our cookies for 1 dozen, and it's going to give you your raw food cost percentage, 59%. Now, for a packaged food product, that is very high. It means for every $12 you bring in, over $7 is going to go right back out the door on ingredients alone. And that's before packaging, your table fee, before 1 minute of your time gets paid for. But now here's the good part. We have real choices that we can make based off of that number. We could raise the price and go to $14 or $15, and we could test out the market and see if that holds and people are still willing to pay for it. You could buy smarter and try to buy in bulk. If you got the money for it, you can try and offset the cost of maybe those chocolate chips and see if that drops down to maybe $1. And that alone reshapes the whole batch and increases your profit that you're making. Or something very real that you can do is use it as a loss leader. Maybe you sell more than just your chocolate chips and you're just trying to bring people in with this amazing deal. So that way you can sell your products that you have that are more marked up. Maybe you're also selling pastries there. This is something very proven to work. Companies like Costco and pretty much every grocery store you go into will be doing this 24/7. They learned that when they sell things like Costco's chicken at the very back of the store, you're more enticed to go back there and walk past all of their higher ticket items. Same thing with the grocery store with their eggs and milk. If you notice, it's always at the back. They want you wandering through the aisles looking for that product. So that way you have to walk past all the other items that you might want to buy that are going to make them a bigger profit. Now, all three are valid, but you can only make that call because you know that number. 5 minutes ago, you were just guessing and you were doing everything based off of how it felt and what sounded good. And now you're making a more educated decision, something that you can base the rest of everything else off of. Now, doing that all by hand for one recipe is really easy. Now, doing it for 12 recipe and redoing it every single time your grocery prices change, that's where a lot of people stop doing it and they start doing everything based off of feel. And that's where you start cutting deals with your customers and dropping prices and doing whatever feels right that day. So let's make things a little bit less tedious and let's bring some AI into the picture that can do all this recipe costing for you. Now, I went ahead and made this prompt so that way you can just copy and paste it into Claude. That's my preferred AI assistant of choice. So all you're going to do is tell it what its goal is and what its role is for you. You're going to tell it where you live, what stores that you shop at, give it the ingredients with all of the raw amounts and tell it how much it yields. And it's going to spit out this here. Now, we gave it very specific information and all the details that it would need to actually spit out the exact food cost. And it'll break it down very thorough. And it can also help you with giving you some better insights too. All you have to do is ask it. Now, something I really recommend is going ahead and starting a project within Claude, because this project is what's going to help Claude remember a lot more about what you've talked about before. And it'll start to learn a lot more about you and your business. And it can give you useful suggestions on, hey, I noticed in 4 of your recipes, you say that you're only buying in these small quantities. Whereas if you just bought all of your product all at once at this bigger box retailer, it would actually save you a little bit more every single time since you're buying in this quantity. And if you guys want another breakdown about how I'm actually utilizing Claude to help the people I work with and actually give it the structure that it needs to best assist you in starting your business or continuing it on its growth, drop a comment down below. Now, I did want to go back and talk about where AI can still make some errors. So I'm just going to give it this very vague prompt on costing out this recipe. Now, if you look at it this time, it looks professional, it looks right. But when we look at the total costs, it shows $9.12 and a food cost of 76%. That says that your cost is $9.12 and your food cost is way too high. And if we didn't just do this exact example by hand, we would think that we are extremely overpriced, but we know this math is wrong. Now, what Claude did was just assume. So it almost sent us into a panic and made us almost jack up our prices to $18 for that dozen cookies. And all because we just didn't give it enough context. So this is where learning the fundamentals about how you're actually going to be doing this and what it should look like is going to save you so that way you're actually educated on what you should be looking for as opposed to just trusting the answer. You can do some pretty incredible things that are going to save you tons of time, but it's very important that you know how to structure these and give these AI assistants as much information as you possibly can, because they are incredibly intelligent and they can help you grow your business and make your life a lot easier and take some of these mental struggles off of you. Because now all you have to do in the future is go back to your project, go to that same recipe, tell Claude, hey, the price of eggs just went up by $2. What's my new food cost percentage? And it already has all the context for you. And then it can pretty much update all your other recipes after it knows that. So again, if you guys want a dedicated video for it, go ahead and go down to the comment section, leave that comment, and that'll let me know that you guys are really interested in seeing how to actually set up these prompts within Claude and organize your business in there. And going back on everything, I want to touch on some of the mistakes that a lot of people are going to be making, especially when you're just starting out. One is going to be not factoring in that you are going to be using portions of these packages and not the entire thing. Don't get lazy with the math. It'll throw every number off. Granted, this would work in your favor, but it doesn't give you a great picture of what your business actually looks like. The other piece is disregarding the small pantry overhead. So all the little spices that you throw in there that are so insignificant that are worth maybe a penny. And I understand that the government stopped making pennies, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to count them, especially when you're doing it on such a scale as you are. You do have to factor these in, and you really do need to make sure you are adjusting all of your recipes for this as well. Because once you get to that scale, like maybe some of you are, you're talking about changes that can cost you thousands of dollars. And this is going to be the one that upsets a lot of people. And that's going to be pricing everything off of vague kitchen instincts and just doing it based off of the vibe. And the most common thing I hear is, oh, it just feels right, or it feels like a fair price. There's a difference between fair and the reality of what things are costing. Now, everybody knows prices are going up, and if you want to be competitive, you do need to know how much money you're making and where you can set a fair price. Because if you're just doing it based off of what sounds good, overall, it's very simple math, guys. It's something that can set you up for success or ruin your business before it even starts. Remember, this is the very base level. A lot of these early videos that I'm going to be posting are for the 14, 15, 16-year-old that is just going to be starting out their little side business. Maybe it's for you, the person who's had this passion to do it for a long time, but struggle at figuring out what the math needs to look like and the numbers intimidate you. And together, I'm going to be growing along with you guys, and we're going to start going into a lot of the things that are going to set you up in your business, and they're also going to help your business stabilize and grow, because I want to be able to help everybody from the earliest beginner all the way up to somebody who has been at one location for the past 10 years and is just struggling to get the funding to open their second. But together, we'll turn this into a living, or at least some really good side money. Now, if you're interested in joining on this journey, please, again, subscribe down below. Over the course of the next few videos, we're going to be working together on everything up from here. And eventually I'll be coming out with different things to help you. I already showed you one of my AI prompts that I've been using to help with costing out some recipes, but I also want to work with you a lot when it comes to building some of these systems once you have an established business to help you grow and get you to that next level. But for now, this video series is going to be meant to help you along the way. And for anybody that wants a little bit of extra credits, for that comment that you put down below earlier, why don't you go back to it and tell me what your food cost percentage is for that product that you're selling already. I'm hoping to not see anything above 60%, but let's go ahead and be honest in the comments. And I'll be replying to quite a few of you guys to see maybe what else you're selling. And hopefully this helps some people. And maybe eventually we can work through some of these things together through some live streams or things like that. But that's going to be all for me. Again, my name is Anthony with Forager, and that's going to be all for me. Thank you guys for watching.